So you also have to keep those relationships, right? You need to be good at both. So how do we do that? So first I want to know, let's show the audience a little bit too. Like tell me a little bit about, your cinematography path and how did you get to where you are right now, Mari?
It's on. Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Maricela Beatriz Mendez. I'm a director of photography. I got my start as a still photographer and then eventually transitioned to working in film as a freelance artist. And I worked in the camera department. And then I spent about 10 years in the lighting department working as a set lighting technician, a best boy, a gaffer, kind of going through slowly kind of moving up the ranks before fully transitioning over to being a camera operator and a director of photography. So, yeah.
And you do have a film here at the festival,
I
right?
d- yes, actually I have two here today. Tomorrow I have a short film screening. It's called The Middle. It's at 7 p.m. It's in the crime drama block. And then I have an episodic project called Dick Bunny that's screening later this week. So, yeah.
Amazing. Audrey?
Hi. Wait. Hi. I'm Audrey. I'm a DP. I'm French. I did a BA in France in a really shitty film school, and it took me 3 years to understand I wanted to be a DP. And then I AC'd for a bit. I worked in a rental house, and I went to AFI. I graduated last year, and I've been working this last year. Mostly shorts. Did my first ad recently. I'm working on music videos. And that's where I'm at.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Indiana. I also went to a shitty undergrad. Also graduated AFI, different year. But like the best experiences come from going to like shitty places because you really extract the most out of it. Did that in the UK, and that's why I'm here essentially. But my path is I'm Canadian originally, named after Indiana Jones. Did not get raised in the film industry, but had a love for it because that was started by my parents. And then, yeah, went to do my undergrad in Scotland. It was not for me. Had a professor tell me, go to Camerimage Film Festival, which is why I'm excited we're talking about industry relationships because I think I can like kind of list off some places that people can connect. Um, I ended up becoming a photographer to teach myself more about cinematography because I thought I wanted to be a director and I was like, I didn't know cinematography existed. And then I just trained myself in that, became a stills photographer, traveled, got hired to travel around the world, did 35 countries as a photographer before getting an operating gig in the Middle East. I was out there for a year in Egypt, in Cairo, and Qatar. And then I got into AFI, went to AFI, and it's been 5 years. I founded a nonprofit, Cinematography for Actors. That's the official podcast partner of Holly Shorts for the second year. Do education, fiscal sponsorship, financial support, and we connect people professionally to others for free. And I've worked on over 43 projects to date that go from short films, branded content, music videos, feature, and then I have two features in the work. One is a doc and one is a narrative in the 1.5 to $2 million range.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Um, so just talking a little bit about those relationships, Mari, you have two films here in the festival. Where did you meet the directors or the producers, whoever hired you for the shorts that are in the festival specifically?
Yeah, for these two projects, the one that I did that's an episodic, I think that one I didn't wasn't really connected with anyone on the project directly. And I saw a post, I think it was on Facebook that I answered. And what ended up happening, lower, higher, here? Okay, great. And what ended up happening was I submitted my work, and you're kind of one of like anywhere from 10 to 100 submissions on something like that. But what also helped to support that is I had two other folks like recommend me to that same person. Um, and then just kind of did some preliminary research for the interview and then kind of blended it like that. So that was that one. That was that project. And then with the middle, I had been in a fellowship with the director, but in a different year. It was through the Hola Mexico Film Festival, and we had stayed connected, gone to a bunch of different events together. We had a lot of the same circle of friends and had been wanting to work together for a while, but like schedules kind of didn't quite line up until this one project. So the middle was our first time working together, and it was fantastic. So really fun.
So a little bit of social media, a little bit of networking there,
Yeah,
right?
like
Because one
online
was through
and
Facebook
mhm.
and but then other people endorsed you. So it's just very important.
Yeah, definitely a combination of working, doing online work, and then meeting people in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about the balance, right?
Yes. Yeah.
About you, Audrey, how did you meet those lovely ladies that I met from
Neither.
play dates?
So I also have two shorts here. The first one is with Laura and Amber Lee. They're over there. I please give them a round of applause. Um, I'm actually not sure how we got connected. It's still kind of a mystery. We talk about it from time to time where we're like, who was this magical person who like recommended me? But we met, we had coffee. I came with photo books and we fell in love and it was the beginning of something. And then the other short that I'm here with is my A5 thesis short. Um,
Okay.
so a director in my class and
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, but for Laura and Amber Lee, I don't know how it was just like this person that came
Yeah.
out of the blue and then disappeared and
No, film school is a great place for connections. Gillian, who's been with me in BECiNE the first day, we met in film school. I was her DP, she was my director, and we've been together at BECiNE 7 years, but we've met each other 20 years ago.
right.
Yes. Indeed, you don't have a film in the
I have
festival.
two as well.
Oh,
I
you
think to
do
be on
have.
this panel, I guess you had to qualify and have two films. I also have
You
two
have.
shorts. Yeah,
Tell me.
both on Tuesday. How did I meet those directors? What are the films? Okay, so first film, I was shooting a feature out in Ithaca, New York, and I met the director because that director had volunteered on, not volunteered, yeah, volunteered on the set as like a camera trainee. And he's like, I want to learn. And he was like, in 2 years, I'm shooting a film. Like, will you come? It's a short. He's like, will you come back? And I was like, sure. And then I was like, you'll never talk to me. Like, you're not, that's not going to have to happen. 2 years later, he's like, hey, can you come and shoot that short? And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything this month. Fly me out, deal with it all. Like we'll do it. And then we made a great film together. And that's Tuesday at 4. And the other one is an AFI director, well, writer turned director who I've collaborated with on 2 projects, and we're in the works of doing. This was a proof of concept, that one that we're now funding for the feature. And the collaboration was so good that we ended up dating. So now I did not get the job because we were dating, but I got the relationship because the job was so great. Yeah.
Amazing. I love that. And how did you meet Haley, who does CFA with you?
Yeah. So, like I was speaking about, I'm the co-founder of CFA, which is a nonprofit that specializes in, our mission is empowering underrepresented and emerging filmmakers through education and community building. And Haley and I met. She's the actor side of Cinematography for Actors, the blonde waving. And how do we meet? I wanted to roller skate during the pandemic, and she was someone who roller skated and published her falls online, called Hey Skates, which you can still follow. And she's not an influencer; she has 40 followers. But on that, but we met because I realized there was a frustration amongst the acting community that there wasn't enough technical training for actors, that they were spending thousands of dollars a month on acting classes that were essentially like, how do I meet a casting director? How do I get the job? How do I do scene study? But not when I get on set, how do I actually work with a crew? And so we started free acting classes through technical training courses, partnering with companies like yourself in order to generate that content. And then it grew and grew and grew. And now we're a nonprofit, which is great. That's how we met.
Amazing.
Roller skating, you know.
Congrats. Yeah, you gotta leave sometimes, right? So you can work and
That's
meet work people.
you can't do this job, whatever you're doing, without having life experience because we're telling stories and that's a part of the life experience. Yeah.
So true. So with that in mind, when you're not shooting, I want to know what do you do in order to keep inspired, but also to meet people, right? Like people that you maybe will work together. Um, let's see, you want to start, Mari?
I think this is the right level. Okay. I think, meeting people is something that I'm kind of always focused on. I feel like there's a lot of folks out there who want to do what we do, and so I feel like staying, top of mind is pretty important in terms of like getting the interview or at least being considered for a project. So when I'm not working, I try to attend a lot of like social events, festivals if I have projects in them. Just trying to kind of looking for ways to stay top of mind. And then for more like one-on-one things, I'll invite people to coffee or, you know, just, I don't know, just figure out, I just try to stay in touch and kind of develop more genuine relationship that's a little bit beyond just the work sort of kind of superficial nature of it all. I think that's one of the things I look for with projects is also trying to genuinely connect with like the story, but that also includes the people that I work with. So it's a little bit kind of fuzzing the lines of like work and friendship too. I think it's kind of finding both. Um, um,
No, that is it. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
yeah, thanks.
I um I'm very bad at meeting people. I don't like going out and meeting people. I don't like going out with the intention of meeting people. I always feel very irked when I feel like someone is coming up to me with the purpose of like getting something out of me, and I feel like people can feel it. Like you do. You feel it when someone's walking up to you with like my plan for you is this. Um so so I'm not very helpful to this panel. But no, I enjoy I enjoy going out and seeing new things and going on walks and meeting people through other people and having connections with them and not talking about film because I feel like when you work as a DP your whole life is film, and so it's really nice to have people who aren't working in that. Um so I'm a really bad source for like where to meet people. But but I feel like if I feel like if you meet people with the genuine intention of being their friend and they also work in film, then maybe something will happen. And if you both admire what the other is doing, then, it's a good place to start.
Yeah, I'm never not working. So, but when I'm told to stop, I do a lot with animals. And I try and find fulfillment in the other categories of my life that I try and just like tick off as a list, which is what I'm working on. But to meet people, is that the second part of the question is kind of like how to meet people? Yeah.
I love that because we're all very different.
Yeah, I know.
You got the
Honestly,
social
yeah.
butterfly over there. You got, and thanks for your honesty, Audrey,
Yeah.
because, and because there people here, there are like each one of us,
Totally.
so nothing is lost. You can be what you are and you can still shoot.
Yeah. So question is how to meet people or like how I meet
Where
new
do you
people.
go to meet people?
So I host the events now so that people come to me. And and we do that for free. I'll say that again. No, but how do I meet people? Uh I love meeting people that aren't primarily related to film because I think we live in a town where everyone's connected to film and you'll eventually meet people that are connected to you. But at the end of the day, the best collaborators you're going to meet are interested in the things that you're interested in outside of film. And I mean, that's how you're going to connect with true collaborators. And so, like, I joined separate um, rescues and memberships and things like that so that I could meet people that were interested in those things. And then through that, I've gotten work. Through that, I've gotten connected. Like, oh, this person, I love cats. Okay. I'm a cat lady, but this person likes cats. I meet them. I know it sounds stupid, but then that person a year down the road is like, hey, by the way, my sister is shooting this film. Do you want to be interviewed for it? Like, things have happened a lot like that. And it's because I think and I know authenticity is used too much, but I think I'm authentic to what I like and who I am. And I try to remain that way. And I like connecting other people. So they think of me a lot of the time when they're like, oh, I actually met through you. And I'm like, that's amazing. And then later on, they're like, now I need to connect you with this person. So I think it's just the game of constantly connecting each other and not like gatekeeping that network because we're all growing together. So yeah, I just say like people you want to grow with that are like-minded is the
I love,
principle.
I love what you both said about that. That because it's so important to keep being you, right? Like you maybe want to work with someone, but then you're so different in your other life that it might clash, right? You might be able to make it work, but you're going to be so much more excited to work with someone that also loves cats. And
Sure. Or is related to someone that likes cats. It's a stupid metaphor analogy, but it's true. Yeah.
yeah. And you were talking, let's talk a bit about like events, like key events that people can write down that they should attend in the next coming year to meet people. And I think also it's important to talk about meeting like the other side, right? Like the business people, like the rental houses. So we can go down and each one can say like events that they have attended that they think they met like interesting people and that were good for their careers. You want to start, Indy?
Yeah, it might be a little longer. Yeah. So I belong to the Canadian Society of Cinematographers and the International Collective Female Cinematographers. And I say those not as like go to those places because you might not align with those places, right? If your job is not those things, but connect with the organizations that support the things that you do, whether you're a director or producer or a woman. But that's because they all have their own programming and education separately. I this will be my 10th year going to the Camerimage Film Festival, best film festival in the world besides Holly Shorts. And I do that because it is, yes, the flights are like the most expensive part, but once you get there, it's cheap. It's how I met anyone I knew in LA. It's how we got connected originally 7 years ago. When I moved here, I had a network because of the people I met at Camerimage. You're welcome to talk to me that after. I'm like a walking spokesperson for that festival. Free education, one pass gets you in. It's like $50 for a pass for 7 days. You're seeing the same people over and over again. You come back with international connections, agents, as well as people who you can collaborate with. And that's an Oscar qualifying festival as well. And then within LA, honestly, it's tough, but I would say you go to things like Holly Shorts or you go to the free events that you find that your friends are already going to because then you have a through line to go to those events and like meet people and go outside of the box. But I think I always look at things as like a leapfrog situation. So like you hear about something, you finally test the water, you check it out. But and then finally, like rental houses, like yourself, you have multiple programming, like 3 or 4 times a month. You run classes out of BECiNE and workshops, and I would say even if you're not a DP, you go to the rental houses, you go to the production companies, you go to color houses, post houses. They're all doing barbecues. They're all showing off gear. But at the end of the day, like it's their marketing. It's free for you to go, get some free food, but also like meet a ton of people. And you'll just keep seeing those familiar faces over and over again. And that's how you promote longevity in this industry is you become like that's your people know you when you walk into a room because you're that friendly person that they can count on, that if they don't know any in the one in the room, they'll come up to you first and be like, hey, how are you, and you're like the lifeboat there. So that's what I would suggest. Yeah.
Just knowing one person in the room gives you security.
Yeah.
We met at a Thai place. What's that place?
Gelato. We met at Gelato when you were thinking of opening the rental house, and you were getting advice from someone that was director of marketing for a rental house. Yeah, yeah,
Friend in common. Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, you gotta come have dinner. Like, I'm gonna bring Indiana. She
yeah,
also just moved here. You know,
yeah, yeah,
you never know." And
yeah.
then here we
Yeah.
are.
I just say like last thing is like regardless once again of your position in the industry, whether you're a DP, director, producer, actor, go to the networking event, go to the fun barbecues at rental houses, like go to those production companies. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going for this reason because I need to like get a camera package. It's literally because that's where people in your industry are going to be as well. And that's who you'll grow with. Yeah.
You can go for the hot dog. You can go,
Yeah.
just go. And, you might leave just with a hot dog, but you might leave with 5 new friends. You never know.
You will. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Audrey?
They.
Like when you go, where do you go?
When I go, I make sure to bring a social butterfly friend because I am not that person. So I bring someone who's like a sunshine and that goes around and says, "Oh, here's my friend," because sorry, I'll be in the corner and like, but I'm more of a one person, so I like meeting people one on one or like in little groups. I thrive in that scenario. I don't thrive in like big events. I don't really know where to put myself. I always feel awkward talking to people. So so no, what I have done that I feel has been good, but it doesn't come from a place of like I want something out of it. It comes from a place of genuine like I appreciate what you do and I want to see more of it has been when I've been to festivals and I see like the short programming and I see shorts that I like, I'll go up to the directors or the producers or whoever's there and tell them that I have a genuine interest in their work. And I think that's been nice. But I'm going to Camille Image for the first time, mostly because my friends all went there last year and they all were very drunk the whole time and sent me voice notes and were like, "This is amazing, you should go." So I will go and be in a corner. You will see me there if you go. Come say hi.
Maybe the vodka shots will help you.
Yeah, no, definitely more friendly when I'm a bit drunk.
I can definitely agree with that. Definitely more. Hello. I'm just having. Worked an overnight last night, so if can't work this microphone, you know why. Wait, what am I doing? Oh,
Now I understand.
yeah,
Yeah, you were
yeah. I wrapped
shooting
at
last night.
7 this morning. Yes. Anyways, wait, can you repeat the question, Bianca?
Events that you have gone that you like to attend to keep networking or to meet people.
Uh, I kind of feel like sometimes it's not, I mean, it is the event, it's the screening, it's the festival, but I kind of feel like it's sometimes the more important moments and the more intimate moments are afterwards. It's at the mixer afterwards, or the dinner after the mixer, or the drink when it's like not a blaring DJ or band or something, and you just kind of like continue on with like a small group of people. And I feel like that's when connection kind of lends itself a little bit better to kind of, oh boy, great, appreciate it. I feel like that's when it's a little bit easier to connect with the folks. And what's nice about that is you just came from a big event where you kind of now all have something in common to talk about, whether it's a film that you loved or hated. You can kind of bond over either direction. And then just kind of figure out ways to connect with folks like on a one-on-one level, I think. But as far as events go, I really like I guess attending, films and being able to connect with the filmmakers afterwards is a really nice way to, um, you know, get to know folks. Trying to think what else. I think there's always mixers happening. There's a couple groups that I'm a part of that are specifically for women that have really great programming happening. And then I think also, there's larger events like I think Cinecure is also pretty fun for connecting with a lot of folks. You meet a lot of vendors. It's a lot of really great workshops. So you could be sitting next to somebody learning about, a new light or hearing a really big time DP talk about something. And I think that's also really important too, is going to workshops and continuing to learn. And you're kind of both in the same boat. You might be confused. You might be, already know a subject, but it just kind of gives you some common ground to be able to connect with folks. If you do feel nervous about like being in big groups and things like that. So I think it's the little things that kind of help with that.
Can I just add something? Sorry. Okay, here's my list. I forgot a bunch of them, so I'm now remembering. NAB in Vegas is great. You meet a ton of people there. Every night there's networking events. During the day, you can meet, like, it's not a sales convention, so you're going to meet people from the companies who are just trying to teach you about their products without you buying. And I think you'll meet a lot of filmmakers there. Cinegear, free every year. Paramount lot, amazing. And then I will say Band Pro Open House is annual. ASC Clubhouse Open House is annual. Coffee and conversations at the ASC Clubhouse are great. Those are free, I think, and those are like twice a month. And then you can hear from like legendary filmmakers, but also connect with people after over mixers. Haley, are there any other ones I make you go to with me? I did camera, but yeah, but that's like the free stuff. They're always free too, which is good because like I know people are like, I don't want to like travel and like pay again and again and again to get into stuff, or like an annual membership to just be invited to something. And so I think there's like a lot of free. Those are the ones that on the top of my head, but I'm sure after this I'll have a bigger running list of them. But yeah,
I, there's a couple that I'm remembering now. There's one that I haven't been to, but I heard really good things of. It's like a director, cinematographer, like speed dating mixer that they do. I'm totally forgetting the name.
I think there's been a couple of
Yeah, they've
those.
had
I
it a
don't know who
couple
are the
times.
organizers.
Yeah, I don't quite know, but they're online on
is it
Instagram.
mine? I run a speed
Yeah,
networking event
for
Yeah.
like directors and DPs
Well, for
specifically.
both below and above the line.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll add it to your list.
Great. I would appreciate that. And there was an event that I went to earlier this year that was hosted by Film Independent, and they had a specific evening for cinematographers to present their work. And there wasn't any gatekeeping with that. It was kind of nice. It was just like a first come, first serve. You paid like $20 and you didn't have to be a member to actually present your work, which was really nice. Um, and then you go and you got to show your reel, which was like 2 or 3 minutes, and it was a room a little bit bigger than this side, and it was a bunch of producers and directors, and there was I think 12 cinematographers, and it was a little overwhelming afterwards because I'm not used to having people just like come up to you because they just saw your work and they heard you talk about your bio or whatever it was. But I definitely had several relationships and potential well, that sounded weird, but several prospects come out of that, both on like the short form and the feature side. So I definitely would do that again next year. Yeah.
And UTA and CAA both have showcases around the year that are free. A CAA does like great office talks where they bring you in and then there's like a mixer after, and then UTA I think once a year does like a showcase that they put out. So I would just like sign up to their newsletters because then they send it out and that's how you get ticketing and invites to that too.
So pretty much follow, like if you want to be somewhere, like just follow them and go where they go, like an organization or, CAA or, and yeah, I second all those events. I love going to NAB, Cinegear, met so many people there. Only been to Camera Maj once in 19. It was amazing. Maybe can go again. Um, and yeah, just get out there and have fun, right? I want to know if you want to share with me if there has been like a key relationship that has really helped move your career forward and what that was.
I'll start. Is that okay? Sorry. Yeah, there's been a few. I would say like the one that was most pivotal in my life, was working with Hawk Anamorphic. I used to build anamorphic lenses, and so oh, cool, me too. Yeah, in Weiden and in Berlin. Yeah, we'll talk after. I did that at 17. I met them at Camera Image after my person at school was like, we can't teach you anything here about cinematography. Go to this festival and learn. Um, and I would say that because through that, I met a lot of mentors by working at Vantage is a rental house. Their product is Hawk Anamorphic lenses. And I met a ton of people through that. That's like kind of, if you look at earlier, I was at the talks where they're talking about waterfalls, but like earlier, if you look at like kind of the trajectory of where that relationship led. It's the only reason I'm in America right now. And so, and that came from just talking to people about their products. And then I asked them for an internship. They gave it to me. And then that turned into a paid job, which turned into jobs from the DPs that were coming to test lenses. But I would say, like, don't like throw out the idea of meeting the vendors because they're the ones who know everybody. And if you're like, I'm doing this documentary, I'm doing a documentary on lumberjills, but it's like, I'm doing a documentary on lumberjills. And they're like, oh, I know a documentarian that just did a sports documentary. I should connect you the next time I see you. And that's their job, is like to connect as well and make you that loyal patron, even if you're not buying anything. So I would say, like, don't discount the vendors, because that was definitely the most pivotal relationship for me. Yeah.
That's amazing. I also thrive with the vendors that I met through the rental house. Like they are, I feel so supported by each one of them. And if we ever have any gear that breaks, like I can call them and everyone helps. And that's due to the relationship we started NAB or Cine Gear. And it's amazing.
Yeah, and I'll just finish off on that by saying, and once you have that relationship, you can then just ask them and just be like, do you know anyone that has done something? I'm doing this right now. Do you know anyone that's done that similar project? And those email introductions are really easy because obviously it's not a cold call or cold email anymore. It becomes like, I love Terry at Black Magic. I'm so happy we both know him, you know? And that's like the most fruitful part, and they're the easiest to talk to because they're paid to talk to you. So, like, go to those events to meet them. Yeah.
For the vendors, would be more than the NAB show in Vegas or Cine Gear in LA,
Yeah.
I would say, and the Ben Pro open house event that's also local. Those are the the trade shows where the vendors go.
It's my hack.
Yeah,
Yes.
pivotal
bring your
pivotal
vendors
moment.
pastries. They like them. Um, no, I think the people who influenced me more and who like pushed my career were the people in my class at AFI. Um, because I worked at Vantage, but I was very shy. So I saw Claire Maton once. She's the woman who shot Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Amazing DP. And she walked right past me, and I just stood there and I went, and I couldn't speak to her. So I was very bad at like meeting people and saying hi, but it was nice because I got to play with the equipment and like coil BNC cables for days and days and days and days. Um, but the people in my class at AFI, I don't know. I think we got really lucky because we weren't aggressive with each other in the way that a lot of film schools kind of make you out to be. We were all very supportive and we all crewed for each other. So we were all like blood, sweat, and tears for each other. And there's a small group in there of like women DPs who are really strong and really good. And we all kind of push each other. And this year we've all been submitted to Caméra Image. So let's see who gets in. But either way, no matter who gets in, we're all going to support each other. So like I think everything around the industry, there's always, like you always have thoughts about what you need to like maintain in the relationship and how you need to maintain it. But if you manage to find a little community that's just there, that has no like, no afterthought, like I will come up to these people and be like, hey, I'm lighting this thing and I've never done it and I have no idea how to do it. Please look at this lighting plan with me and let's talk about it. And they will. They'll sit down with me. We'll have wine until midnight and we will look at it and figure it out. And I think that's what you need to find. You need to find a little group of people that love you and that you love and that will like work shit out with you. That those are the people that help me the most.
I love that. That's very helpful. It's so cute. I feel like I have some it's true. I feel like I have some group texts that we're just like always cheering for each other. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like for me, there's been I guess a couple different areas. I think women in film has been extremely helpful for me in terms of my career. It's one of the, I guess it's one of the more well-known organizations here in Los Angeles, and the chapter here is very active. Been in a few fellowships with them, and the first one was kind of pre-pandemic, and then pandemic hit, and then there wasn't a whole lot going on after that. Um, but from there, I was able to meet just some really great folks and just kind of find a home there among that community, which I wasn't familiar with prior to that. Um, and then more recently, I was able to be in another fellowship that was through Women in Film and Sundance called Reframe Rise. And that was a 2-year program for mid career directors. And the year that I was able to do it, they invited cinematographers to be a part of it. And that was really amazing because I work on a lot of independent projects. And most of the actually, all the directors in the program were already directing for television, really big commercials, had already had films at like really big festivals. So it was really nice to kind of almost be, well, for what I feel, kind of pulled up into that space from being in such an independent world. And also through that program, the goal is to kind of, I guess, rise. So help you elevate your career. And because of the meetings and the workshops and a lot of the programming they had for us, I was connected with the agents that I have now. And even then, that did take a while. It wasn't something where they like met you and then, you got a coffee in a month and then like you're hired. Like, that's not how it works. Even that is kind of a slow burn of a relationship unless you're already like up and running, a household name kind of thing. I think that's um, it took like I think I was emailing for about a year, just staying in touch with who now represents me. Of just hey, I just shot this, or I have this screening here, or hey, what do you think about this job, or does my resume look okay, or just staying in touch with them every so often, and that eventually formed a relationship that they're now my agents on both the commercial and the film and TV side, and that was all directly through Women in Film, kind of making that connection for me. But also my relationship with BECiNE and with you. And honestly, I feel like before finding a home at BECiNE, it's kind of at a lot of different rental houses, just trying to figure it out. And it's just so nice to be supported and to have access to gear that I've always wanted access to. Because prior to that, it's like a lot of times you're hired for, what gear do you own? That's kind of sometimes the first question. And I don't own equipment. And so it's just really amazing to have that support from you because it has elevated so many projects, within the last like 5+ years. So just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Mari. You're so loyal to us, and we love seeing you grow.
Can I just add something to that? Because I think that's a great point. Don't hire your DPs with the first question of where do you own?
That's a red flag.
It's a red flag.
I will say no to that job before I've even read the script. It makes me really angry. And that's because there are so many. We live in Los Angeles. Even if you don't live here, there's so many rental houses that will work with you on your budget. If you don't have a budget, you will find a way to shoot it. Hire your creatives because they are creatives and they are artists, just like you are trying to tell that story. We want to tell that story. And so, yes, I get it. Cut your costs, but we'll help you because we have those relationships. And if you're hiring a DP for the reason of you want an Alexa 35, just think again and do a better job. And if anyone's done that here, I hope you learn from that, and you can pick a battle with me after about it. But I just am glad it's mentioned because it's just such an important part of our industry. Like, we collaborate with our rental houses as much as we collaborate with each other. So there's no reason.
And if the DP has done their work, they will find a way to rent the
Yeah.
Alexa 35 for the price that the
Yes.
other DPs read. The read that he has at home that he was gonna charge you an amount. Those DPs that have a good relationship, the rental houses do. We we back our clients when we can, of course, if we have the gear available and it's someone we trust and someone that is loyal and has a good relationship. That's what Maricela said. Exactly. Sometimes there's a better budget, sometimes there isn't, right? So it's about the story and what they're telling and their talent. Thanks for saying that.
I have to. I just have to. Yeah.
Because yes, and I think this happened, when I graduated from film school in 2007, and it started then where people started buying gear, and then if you didn't have a camera, you wouldn't get a job, and we have to get away from that, move away from this, and let the rental houses buy the gear. Buying gear, you need a lot of maintenance. It's not just leaving it in your closet. Things are not going to go well. Your sensor is going to be bad and you're not going to notice. And you're only going to notice when your screen is filming in the big screen. So let the pros take care of it because it is a pro camera, and let the talents take care of the talents of the art, right? Um, I think if I think we're gonna open up for questions. If someone
We
has.
have a microphone as well over here.
Hello, do I stand? Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
Mikey.
I'm Bianca. So I'm going to shamelessly promote BECiNE just in general because I've had a relationship with Bianca for since 2019, and phenomenal work. You guys should check out their workshops. They are incredible, incredibly supportive to anyone looking to get into film. Beyond that, what sort of advice would you give, like an aspiring director, particularly or writer? Um, how would a director be efficient and as direct with their DP in that collaboration? What sort of advice would you give a writer or director in terms of that collaboration process to make that process more smooth, pre-production, in production, and post-production?
No, everyone looked at me, and I know it's because I hogged the mic a lot. But you go first.
Okay. Hello. I think something that was really helpful for me, or at least what I tell my directors, like, don't worry about the techie things. Don't stress about all of the jargon because I know that can be very overwhelming. Um, I think what's most important for me as a collaborator is to be able to figure out like what it is, the story that you want to tell. And so I'm a visual person, so if you have like references, you don't necessarily have to know exactly what you like about it because I will bring up the image and say like, okay, what do you like about this? Is it the color? Is it the mood? Is it the contrast? And then we can kind of figure out like what it is you like about it. Um, and that's an easy way to kind of start to get to know you as a director and kind of figure out where you're leaning towards. Um, yeah, I think it's also just being kind of open to the collaborative process because it is very much like you kind of need everybody to work to get onto the same page. Um, and I think just to be as open and honest. And I think with shorts, it tends to be it's probably one of the harder um, spaces to work in because budget's really tight. You have a lot less time than you do in other spaces. And so just being able to have kind of like a plan B as a little backup. And sometimes it means letting go of things, whether it's like a shot or hopefully it's not a scene. Sometimes that does happen, you know. Or in just being open to maybe having to reimagine something because the location isn't exactly how it's written in the script. So, yeah, those are kind of the main things. And then just being really nice is really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I really like to get to know the people that I'm working with as much as I can. I think some of the things that I try to suss out in our first meetings, because it's kind of sketchy. You go on a date and then you kind of have to choose really quickly if you're going to go in a relationship or not. It's all very gay, really, um, in a good way. But so I think the things that I try to suss out are how clear is this person about what they want to say? Do they know what they want to say? Because a lot of the time you'll have a script and you'll understand it a certain way, and then when you start asking questions, that's what I come in with the first meeting is just a lot of questions about story, um, and what the director is trying to say. And if I feel like we're on a completely different pages, then maybe I'm not the right person for the job. And I think that's also what I try to suss out is this something that I want to do? Is this something that you really want me to do? And am I the right person to do it? Because I think, especially like I think I'm earlier than both of you in my career, but but what I want to work on are things that I'm proud of, and so I think I spent a lot of time like really trying to get jobs, no matter what the job. And I think now I'm starting to slowly understand that I'm also doing things for me, and I'm telling stories that I want to tell and that I think are important. Um, so I think being able to spend time, and that means like just going to a bar, just having a drink, just going to a museum, watching a film and talking about it is a lot more efficient than like making 5 shot lists. You know, I think the human aspect is on set gonna serve you a lot better than being as like tight as you can be. I think that's just me.
I would say involve. This is like the best part about film is everyone likes to work differently, in a different way. And as long as that's safe, kind, and respectful, then that's good. So the way I like to work is I like being involved in decisions. I like having context to why those decisions are being made, so that if you're like, I want to be on a 35, I'm like, great, and I know probably why then you want to be on a 35. Maybe you're explaining that to me, because if you're saying something that might not give you the look you want, we've saved time. But I can also just like understand, okay, you like it because of that. Because I look at relationships as a long-term thing, like that we're going to have together. And hopefully we do so many more together. And so the more that you give me the context, which doesn't take time on set to give context if you're succinct and you know what you want, the better we can work together and the quicker it becomes. I also, this is how I like to work. It's not how everyone likes to work. I like building the shot list with the director. Even if the director knows what they want, I like being there and asking the questions then in prep. I love prepping. And I like understanding on set then, oh, you made those decisions in prep, which means we shouldn't go over the shoulder yet because we're kind of more like 3/4 front on them. We haven't gotten to over the shoulder world yet. Like we've created those rules. I like creating dogmas. So creative dogmas around eyeline, eyelight, character framing, color of lighting, the amount of contrast ratio we have. And even if all of that like goes to shit on set, at least I know what to go back to, because if something does go to shit on, sorry, we're swearing on BitPix TV, but even if something does go to shit, I know where you're at and what you like enough to be like, okay, well this will match, or like, oh, I know he always likes kind of going like near eyeline, or I know he likes the low angles by default and wides. And then I can set something up for you that's efficient and correct, hopefully. But yeah, context, involvement in the pre-production, do not rush pre-production, and trusting us on set, I'd say. Like, trust that I'm going to hire my team that I know is going to do a good job. And before going to them, like an operator, and talking directly to them, bring me over to have that conversation with you, just so I know what's happening and we're not like jumping over in order to try and save time on set. That's kind of what I would say. Yeah.
To piggyback off of that, I think if you're both really in sync with what you're trying to say, when all goes to shit on set, which it does, um, you know what your through line is. You know what to follow.
Thank you. Amazing answers. Thanks for your great question, Mikey. Who else has a question? I think we have some in the back. Okay, next one.
Hi, thank you for being here. How important has admin been to your success as DPs? That means keeping up with your IMDb, keeping up with your websites, reaching out to agents if you want to be repped. How much of that work do you prioritize?
A lot of it. Yeah, I admin, I unfortunately, but also fortunately because it's fun. 95% of our job, whoever you are in film, is business before it's art, which means that the majority of the work happens when you're off set. And that includes like getting hired for jobs, having like a livelihood in film. Networking, I count as admin. I count as like, who do I like? Who am I connecting with? Let me follow up, see what they're up to. Also, Instagram is the greatest tool of all time to just connect with people, see what they're doing. That's how I get the majority of jobs. Having an up-to-date website, absolutely, but keep it simple. It doesn't have to, everyone goes through iterations of their website, right? But like keeping it, agents want, ideally if you're newer, under a minute. If you're a little more experienced, under a minute and a half for a reel. It's easy for directors to watch that too. And just have a single page with everything on it to get started. Agents will then tell you when they sign you on how they like it formatted. Always have an up-to-date resume. But most importantly, like post your work on Instagram, even if you're at like a rental house doing something, or even if you're like at an event. You never know who's going to reach out and be like, I'm there too. Or you never know who's going to be like, I saw you were there that one time. What was that like? And it's easy talking point. But I would just say, like, you don't have to be a social media influencer, but I would just say, like, keep up to date on Instagram, because that's going to be the easiest way for people um, to get in contact. And last bit of advice that I always thought was the best advice on the admin side is you always want to be at the top of someone's inbox, because you know so many people in this industry. And at the end of the day, it's if they have a job coming up and you've just had coffee with them or you've just seen them at an event, they're going to think of you before a bunch of other people they haven't seen in 3 years, unless they saw that that person was on Instagram recently and posted that work, and now they're thinking of that person for that job. So being at the top of someone's inbox just means being around, being present, and checking in with people, not from like a selfish perspective, but just from a connection perspective. That is also selfish because it's a job at the end of the day. But yeah.
I feel like everyone in this room knows what my answer is. I'm not good at it. But I make people cake and I bring it to them and they eat it and they're happy. No, there is a hack, because I'm like this, right? I am like, I will post a lot and then I won't post at all. So I found this thing where you can spend like 5 hours on it and you just like pile it up with posts and you tell it you post once a week and it does its thing on its own and it's great and you don't touch it. That's what I do. I can't remember. But if you search like Instagram later post or like schedule post, something like that.
I think actually Instagram is now letting you schedule your posts.
You can
Yeah.
do that now.
Do that, because I am not good at the like I'm not good at consistently being on social media, and I'm not good at updating IMDb, and I also just find it actually really annoying. Um so so I bring people cake and sometimes they remember me and sometimes they call me and it's nice. I'm sorry.
No, because it can consume you, right? You can be on Instagram and you
It
get
takes so
distracted. So
much
if you just,
time.
okay, I'm gonna do this on Monday, and then you schedule for that whole
Yeah,
month,
I
if you
will like
will.
block out time. So I'll say like I need to post on Instagram. So I'll block out time and I'll schedule it for like 2 hours and then I won't have to look at it for a week or 2 weeks or whatever.
That's great. You do you.
Thank you. I'm doing me in my corner.
That's great. Um, as far as admin stuff goes, it's kind of a on days that I'm not working, obviously. It's definitely a daily thing. I think you kind of have to keep up with that now. It's just a part of the job. Um, I think definitely scheduling things is really important. Something I've started doing so that I don't forget is if I go to an event and I meet someone, or if I have an interview for a project and I meet some folks I really like, I will immediately write a thank you email, and then I'll schedule it for the next day.
Oh, I schedule send a lot. Yeah, and like at 6 a.m. or something.
Yeah. And that way I don't forget and it's done and I'm not like having one more thing to do. It's like, okay, I just had this meeting. Okay, I just did the email. Okay, it's done. Moving on to the next thing. And it's like not stored in my brain anymore. Um, I think Canva also lets you do like posts and then schedules them as well, so you can get a little bit cuter with your posts if you if you want. As far as websites go, I was kind of doing my own website for the longest time, and I had kind of gotten some not so great feedback on things. They're like, oh, you can improve this and improve that. And I just felt like I just came up to a wall at a certain point with like the template I was working with, and I couldn't find what I needed. So I just reached out to a few friends, and they recommended their website like builder for that. And so I just hired a company to do it for me. Uh, Kind of taken a while to get there because you're always on a budget as a freelance artist. But it's kind of been the best thing ever because we did the consultation, figured out what I wanted. I had comps for what I liked, what I did not want, what I wanted it to look like, and then all I do now is when I have a new project, I just send an email. And then within like 24 hours, it gets updated. So it's really nice. And then as far as like websites, I mean, resumes and stuff go, the agency that I'm with kind of takes care of all that for me, and I just sent them a bunch of new what's it called? Jobs to like update it, and then they'll kick it back to me. But if that's something that you don't have access to, you can definitely go and look up like your top 5 cinematographers. A lot of times they have their resumes listed, they have their websites, and you can kind of see like what works for them and maybe pull that over to when you're creating your own website is a really great reference. And like you said, all of the agencies have different ways that they format their resumes. There's not really like a right or wrong. Um, it's all the same information, but they just kind of do it a little bit differently. And a lot of times you can see what they have as well, and you can kind of style it in the same format. So it's not as inaccessible as you would think. Um, but yeah, it's kind of an everyday thing. I don't post
Important.
every day.
Yeah.
It's definitely important.
It's an investment that is very important.
Yeah.
And it could be a tax write-off. So like figure out, yeah. So figure out what you'll owe that year and if you can what you can expend like on your tax write-off and because that's marketing materials and that falls and because you're probably a contractor as a filmmaker, then you can write that off. But figure out first that it's going to be a write-off before you do it, and then at the end of the year you're like, God damn. And then finally, for admin, it's a little obnoxious, but if you can get through that, all of the admin tips and tricks are really good. The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss is a fantastic book I love. It's obnoxious, but like the technical information of emails and calls and how to schedule everything, I find really helpful. Yeah.
Oh, I will have a plug for, I think it's called Tick Tick. It's like a task management thing that really works for me because when I complete something, it goes ding. And it's very satisfying.
Six, cute. We have time for one more, maybe. Can we get in the back there?
Hi, my name's Christina. I'm actually a makeup artist for the previous 13 years and special effects makeup artistry for previous 5 years as well. I feel like I've done really well building relationships with directors, actors, PR people, like everybody. But the one that I don't know, it's like this black hole of mystery where you would think that cinematographers and makeup artists would be kind of we're each other's people, kind of. But that's the one place where I haven't really built, I don't have all my cinematographer people. And I'm wondering what your point of view is. B, if you guys ever get hired for a job and you're like, I want this makeup artist because I know this one is going to super fit. You know what I mean? If you have relationships like that.
I would say I usually am not in a position to say to have that sort of a demand, like that I have to have this person. That's not in my department. But I did actually the job that I worked this weekend. They I think they had a makeup artist like drop out or something, and they were just like, "Oh my God, we need somebody fast." And I just sent them my favorite makeup artist that I just worked with on a feature, and then they like immediately booked her. So I feel like um, I think usually if I'm advocating for folks, it's in within like my own department. But yeah, I mean, I think it definitely does happen.
Yeah, and while they're talking, I would say, no, and you're good. You're good. Do you want to go? Yeah.
Black holes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's also kind of tricky because when you're working, like when you're not like not that you're not working, but like when you're at the monitor, like we are like zoned in, we're filming, we're rolling. And so I feel like it might be being able to find that moment, like maybe at lunchtime or afterwards, or maybe sending an email after you wrap a project to kind of foster that relationship because it gets crazy on set sometimes and you're stressed and you're sweaty and you're tired and sometimes you're just thinking about kind of going home and sleeping or curling up with your cat. um, yeah, and so maybe it just might be looking for ways to foster afterwards when you really worked with someone and you can have some common ground to talk about. I feel like most folks are pretty nice, and I love coffee, so I'd always be down for a coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say I am like a little opposite. We might do different types of jobs. I throw crew recs left, right, and center. Like as soon as I'm brought into the project, I'm like, who do you have? And then if they, and because I just want to work with people I love. And so if I can get like people I've worked with to be in all of my areas so that I feel good about my work, I will like throw those crew recs out. Um, and makeup's included. Like sometimes I will go like, who do you have in those departments? If I know someone or if they need someone, I'll be like looking through my Rolodex of people to rec. And recently, I've noticed that it was my first time working with like an A-lister. I was working with Morgan Freeman for the Nicole Kidman AMC like recreation for AFI. Yeah. And I was nervous about it. And his makeup team has been with him for decades. And it was the first time I'd ever worked with a makeup artist on set where she knew to tell me like he's not going to love this angle that close. Like he's not going to like this. He's not, and I was like this is perfect, like or like, hey, the color of your light here is like a little too blue for his skin with the makeup we used. And I was like, this is great. Like, and I was like, I'm not pissing off Morgan Freeman. Like, I'm not like, his team is watching me. And so that was like a really wonderful relationship. That was the first time I'd ever really had the makeup artist be the leader in that and just kind of giving me the hints and the tricks. So I appreciate that. Yeah. So please keep doing that. And I'm sure more DPs will suddenly be like, makeup artists, we need to really keep them on our team and think of it more as that collaboration, I would say. Yeah.
They're great. Little secrets if you have that relationship if you're like their personal artist because I do feel like it would be the talent that would dictate who gets to come on as far as like hair and makeup and wardrobe. um yeah, I think they would have more power, like more pull in that say, but having things been in that situation where you just get those little insider tidbits because you go into a project and you're like, oh, I have this vision and I want to do this, but like if you can't shoot a certain actor from their left side, it has to be from the other side. Knowing that in advance, if a makeup artist told me that or something, versus like we already set up and then have to
Yeah.
change it.
No, it's
you
great
know?
that you took it in as right, like, oh, these people know him better than I. Because
God, yeah.
right, someone could have thought like, oh, this makeup artist is telling me how to do my job. Like
Yeah.
there could have been someone like that. So I commend you for
Yeah.
doing the best at that
Totally.
situation and you're
Yeah.
super professional.
Yeah. Well, you're in the chair with like they're in the chair with you first. And so I'm prepping on set. I have no clue what's going on except for what I'm hearing from hopefully a good AD or my director or someone on set, producer. And so for you to come in and we're both at monitor, we might be at separate monitors depending on budget, but like if we're both at the same monitor and you're like, "Hey, they were telling me, like blah 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 this and this, like they're like really cautious about this scar that I had to cover and like things like, I mean, that's just stuff I'm going to keep in mind as a human, and I'm going to talk to my director about and not make it a big deal, but obviously just like be considerate, because at the end of the day, like my job is to tell a story but also make the actors look good for that story, not aesthetically good but good for that character, for that story, and you're the one giving me that info. That's fantastic. And that might be like a really organic way of making a relationship with DPs on set in a like unique way. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great. Thank you, everybody. I love that we had like very different perspectives from all of the the thoughts and all different corners. And I think this means that there's no right way to do anything, and there are many different ways. And yeah, I think we're gonna stick around a little bit, right? There is a happy hour. Happy hour.
And now we're having drinks, everybody, right? Yes, it's our networking event. Yeah.
We'll be sticking around, so feel free to come say hi. And thanks for being here.